I'll try to make this quick. I know everybody wants to go eat their Sunday afternoon lunch. So we're going to talk about online security practices. So let's pretend you're going to go on a road trip and you're going to drive coast to coast. What are some things that you might do to prepare for your road trip? Gas, tires, maps. You're going to plan your trip out.
Rent motels.
Motels. Yeah. Make sure you don't have a bunch of junk in your trunk so you can put your luggage in there. Room for the family. Make sure you bring your family, right? So those are just kind of some ideas and principles we would have around something we would normally plan to do, right? So the same things apply to going online, right? You're traversing the interwebs, right? You're leaving your house and you're going out there in the wild. So when you get to your destination on your road trip, are you going to say, "Oh, I think I'll visit the bad part of town"? You know, would you go there? Not intentionally, but what would you do if you found yourself in that part of town? Would you stay there and hang out and say, "Hey, you want to hang out, guys?" Or would you turn around and leave? Right? You know, there's risks to going to the bad part of town. And the same principle goes on the internet. So we're going to talk about these. So obviously there's, you know, viruses, trojans, spyware, all that. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff. So first things first, you're not going to go cross country in an old jalopy. Something that's barely running, right? So we're not going to use Windows XP because it's no longer supported. It's not getting updates. It's not being secured anymore. Microsoft says don't use Windows XP. Use one of these operating systems up at the top. Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10 being the newest and the best. So, you know, if you want to get to your destination safely and securely, you want a good ride. So that's my recommendation there. Remove all unused applications. Right? So if you have a carload of trash that you can't even get inside your car, you're not going to get to your destination very well, right? Same applies to the computer. You might have played, you know, a game 10 years ago and you still have it installed on your computer. Well, guess what? That game's not getting patched anymore. Or that application. Adobe products. Who here has Adobe products, right? PDF, Flash Player, stuff like that. If you're not updating it, if you're not using it, remove it, right? Because if you're not using it, you're not going to update it. Keep your system clean. So there's free programs out there. This one is one that I use in particular. It's called CCleaner, and it's by Cryform. It makes it easy for a normal person to clean up their computer, the same level of what a geek would do, right? So you open up the program. It has this little tab right here that says Cleaner. You click on Cleaner, and then there's I didn't get it in the screenshot, but bottom right corner there's a Clean Now button, and it removes all that junk, and it's free. So that's something that you can go to. You can download, you can run it. It gets rid of all your internet junk, so you surf from web pages and you get cookies on your computer, and not the kind that you eat. And you get temporary files, video files, stuff like that. So keep your computer clean and it'll keep you running better. It gets rid of all this junk out of here.
Does it apply to phones as well?
Yeah, so CCleaner does have a mobile app, and it does apply to phones too. So I'm primarily talking about desktop appliances right now. A lot of this stuff applies to a phone. A phone, you're not going to want to use a 20-year-old phone. Obviously, it didn't have smartness 20 years ago, but it's also an old phone's not going to have all the system updates and patches and stuff too. So if your mobile carrier allows you to, use an updated phone. So patch your apps. I kind of touched on this already, but constantly they are finding vulnerabilities and threats in these applications, such as Adobe products. They are hammering that software like crazy. Flash Player, PDF, whatnot. If there's a patch available, install it. Same goes with Windows. Install your Windows updates. That closes all sorts of holes that hackers and people are trying to use, right? It's kind of like, you know, your car's check engine light comes on, right? Are you just going to keep on driving, or are you going to take it to a mechanic and have them check it out and make sure you don't break down in the middle of nowhere? Same principle. Friends don't let friends use Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer is a huge target. There's all sorts of vulnerabilities to it. Now with Windows 10, Edge isn't on this, but it's better than Internet Explorer. We still don't use Internet Explorer. I particularly use Google Chrome. Google Chrome is constantly being updated by Google, and it works smooth. It does multi-threading, which means that some browsers will only let you do one thing at a time, whereas, so you open up multiple web pages. What Google Chrome does is it kind of puts it in its own browser on each page. That way if one tab locks up, it doesn't kill your whole browser. So it's a little bit more efficient. Avoidance versus protection. So there's no such thing as 100% protection. Protection is a fallback. Avoidance is the first line of defense. Of course, if anybody's watched any Monty Python, avoidance, you're running away from the danger, and protection is, facing the Black Knight and hacking his arms off. So, forms of avoidance, keep out. You're entering the bad part of town. Don't go in that part of town. What's the bad part of town? Well, Pirate Bay. Downloading wares, free software, pirated stuff. A lot of that stuff comes with stuff embedded in it, like viruses, malware, trojans. You never know. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's good. There is some free stuff out there that's okay, but if it's pirated, it's usually going to go bad for you. Adult websites, obviously we don't want to go there, right? That's all sorts of wrong. Clickbaiting, that's like when you go on Facebook and all these stupid news articles that pop up say, oh yeah, go read here. Well, you go there and then you get all these stupid pop-ups, right, and ads, and that's what clickbaiting is. It looks really lucrative. Oh, I want to read about what Kim Kardashian did, and you go there and it's just junk, right? And then obviously I talked about software piracy. Here's some examples of those little stupid pop-ups that you get. Congratulations, you're today's lucky visitor. Click here to get your prize. So we want to use protection to block ads because malvertizing is something that a lot of schemers, hackers, stuff like that do. You might have a website, and this comes out every once in a while, where like a legitimate website, CNN or one of these websites, right? They have ad banners on their page, right? Generates revenue. Every once in a while, these ad banners, they might get taken by malvertisers inadvertently, but they might be serving up malware. Well, so one way to protect against that is to use an ad blocker. I use uBlock Origin for Google Chrome, and it gets rid of all those ad banners on the sides and stuff and just completely blocks it. A benefit to it, you go to YouTube, you want to watch a video, you know how it constantly interrupts you to watch an advertisement? This will keep that from happening too. Use good anti-malware software. So they used to call it antivirus, now they call it anti-malware because it's not just viruses, it's all sorts of threats. Sophos Home is one that I use. It's free. It is connected to the cloud. So reporting and stuff goes to their cloud server, which would also email you if somebody in your household got a virus, something like that. Works really well. Malwarebytes is a good secondary scanner. It's free. You can install it, and you just do manual scans maybe once a week or so just to make sure that your primary malware scanner is catching everything. Back up your data. So anymore, bad actors are using tools like ransomware to force you to pay them money. So things that they do, they'll put ransomware on your computer and they'll encrypt all your family pictures, music, videos, anything that you want to hold on to, right? It encrypts it, and the only way to get your files back is to pay them money, and then they will give you the key to unlock it. The only real way to protect against this is to back up your stuff. There's a picture I just got last night from a thumb drive at Walmart, 128 gigabytes, 25 bucks. 25 bucks versus ransomware, they usually charge you in Bitcoin, but it can get up in the thousands of dollars that they'll charge you to get your stuff back. So it's a cheap safety net. Recommendation, put your stuff on a thumb drive, unplug it, put it in a safe place, like a safe or something like that. If you leave it plugged in, it'll get encrypted with everything else. Public Wi-Fi, if you go out into public places and use a public computer or public Wi-Fi, it's not recommended to use anything as far as your account's signing into your accounts, your bank accounts, putting any information out there, because other people use these machines that could have malware on it, or there might be people doing man-in-the-middle attacks. So if you try to connect to a Wi-Fi, it may look like a legitimate free Wi-Fi, but what you're actually doing is connecting to somebody else's computer, and they're sniffing all your traffic and getting everything that you're doing. Anything that's clear and open text in the internet, they can see, passwords and whatnot. Most stuff is encrypted, but not everything is. So be better safe than sorry. If you are going to use a public Wi-Fi, it's recommended to use a VPN. And it kind of shows you down here at the bottom what VPN does. So this picture shows, this guy is harmlessly searching his bank account, but this guy's actually infiltrating it in the middle, right? So what VPN does is it allows you to skip the bad guy and go straight to a secure server, and then you're going out to the internet and nobody in the middle's looking at what you're doing, because it's an encrypted connection, which means all that guy's going to see is a bunch of garbled stuff, and they're not going to be able to make heads or tails of what he's looking at. Here's the VPN provider. It's pretty cheap, $7 a month, or it's cheaper if you buy it for a whole year. It works with Windows, Linux, Mac, whatever you want to use, and there's mobile apps for it too. Lock down your social media stuff. So these bad actors, once they get a name or whatever, they can tie it to your identity, right? They can search you online and they can find stuff to use against you. Pictures, names, friends, email addresses, whatnot. If you go into Facebook, you can change who can see your stuff. And you can lock it down to where they have to be a friend of you to see what you have online. They also use a terminology the government uses. They call that OSINT, Open Source Intelligence. And I'm going to play you a video.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
On that social media, also what people have been having is they'll create fake identities of someone you know,
Yeah.
and you'll friend them, and then they get access to your information that way. So sometimes you may get friend requests from someone that you've already been friends with.
Yep.
Probably a fake account.
It's very good.
I think that some of the young people also, they want to have like the most friends, so they will
Accept every friend request that comes along. Yeah.
Instagram, Twitter,
Yeah.
it's all the same thing.
Yep. It's a good point. Don't accept every friend request that comes your way. All right,
If it's out there forever.
Yep.
Don't think it's not. Snapchat included.
I usually click on their name and go to their profile to see if they're even in the growth area, why they're mutual friends or anything like that, and kind of check them out. And then I just ignore it.
Yeah, if you don't know, I just say, don't friend them.
I'm Brooke Alvarez. Let's get right to our top story tonight. Congress today reauthorized funding for Facebook, the massive online surveillance program run by the CIA. According to Department of Homeland Security reports, Facebook has replaced almost every other CIA information gathering program since it was launched in 2004.
After years of secretly monitoring the public, we were astounded so many people would willingly publicize where they live, their religious and political views, an alphabetized list of all their friends' personal email addresses, phone numbers, hundreds of photos of themselves, and even status updates about what they were doing moment to moment. It is truly a dream come true for the CIA.
Much of the credit belongs to CIA agent Mark Zuckerberg, who runs the day-to-day Facebook operation for the agency. The decorated agent, codenamed the Overlord, was recently awarded the prestigious Medal of Intelligence Commendation for his work with the Facebook program, which he has called, quote, the single most powerful tool for population control ever created. Among the biggest successes of the Facebook program is Operation Farmville, which the CIA credits with pacifying as many as 85 million people after unemployment rates rose dramatically. Other features, such as the suggested friends window, have been instrumental in allowing government agents to infiltrate deeper into the friend networks of suspected dissidents. For some expert analysis now on the story, let's check in with the Fact Zone's first responders. Jason, you have written extensively about the Facebook program. Why is it so effective?
Well, one of the key reasons is that the CIA has been so thorough in convincing the nation that constantly sharing information about everything that you're doing is somehow desirable instead of deeply unsettling.
You know, the critics are saying that with the national debt being so high, spy, is this really the time to be spending even more money on spy programs?
Well, actually, the Facebook program saves the CIA money.
That's right.
Like the Maps application, where you list every place that you've been, whether it's the state or a country. Or...
Oh, right, with the little pins they show where you visited. Yeah,
yes,
I like that.
that kind of information would have taken the CIA months of going through hotel receipts and plane tickets to figure it all out. The manpower that Facebook saves is huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the calendar feature even lets the CIA know where you're going to be in advance. So that's
right. So now if they want to pick you up for questioning, all they have to do is see which events you RSVP'd yes to and then send their agents to be waiting for you.
That's how they got my brother.
That's right.
So effective.
So obviously that's a joke, but there's a lot of truth to it, and it's kind of scary, right?
What about groups?
What about what?
Groups on Facebook?
So you're talking about like sales groups and stuff like that,
Yeah.
buying stuff.
Can
So
they
for,
see your personal?
can they see your what? Your
Like
personal
if you're
page?
friends, if you're on a group.
Everything that's posted on that group, everyone will see. No, that doesn't
They can't
necessarily
go to my
mean that.
personal page and
Yeah,
look at my
I don't.
stuff.
Yeah, if they're your personal friend. Yeah. So yeah, it's a silly video, but it's true in a lot of ways. So just be careful what you put out there. So if you post it online, guess what? It's not going to go away. Pretend this poor guy wants to go get a job, right? And they say, oh, sure, well, can you share your email account with me and maybe your Facebook page, right? Because a lot of companies do this now. They background search you. Well, maybe they pull this guy up and they see these pictures of him online. Maybe he's a raging alcoholic and all his pictures are of him going to parties and getting drunk. You think they're going to want to hire a guy like that? No. Probably not. It's really hard to get rid of stuff once it gets online, too. Like this guy. I mean, it showed up in my PowerPoint, right? He's probably regretting that. Also, don't post personally identifiable things online. So, young kids, you get your first driver's license or your first credit card, don't do this. Don't put it online because all your friends are going to have your number and now they have a credit card.
And driver's license and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep, driver's license. If you post all your information online, you can be subject to identity theft, and you might have all sorts of new credit cards that you didn't know about, or maybe a house mortgage or a car payment, and your credit score is going to go down, and you're going to get hounded, and they're going to want money from you. Yeah, so don't do it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Were you getting ready to explain it? Because I thought debit cards would be more safe.
Oh, on this one? No. Do not use debit cards.
Is that like a debit card connected to like a bank or just like?
Yes, your debit card that your bank supplies you that's directly tied to your checking account.
So what about one that's not connected to a checking account?
So let's do an explanation here. So debit cards are provided by your bank, whereas a credit card is provided by a creditor. That money is still in limbo until the creditor allows the money to be paid, whereas a debit card, as soon as you make the payment, it takes it out of your account immediately. A creditor from a credit card company has all sorts of fraud and scam protection on it, and it shows up just a random charge to your account. You call them up and you say, hey, I didn't make this purchase, and they say, okay, don't use your cards, cut them up, we're going to send you some new cards and we'll reverse these charges, which is why you don't use a debit card to make payments online. It's hard to get your money back if it's taken out of your debit card. It can be done, but it's usually a lengthy process, and sometimes they can't always get it all back.
We usually just go down and buy a card that's got money on it.
And put just enough on it. Yeah, don't put $1,000 on it if you're only going to spend $20. Because if that money goes away, it's hard to get that money back too. But say you want to buy something for $50, put $50 on it, use that card, then throw the card away.
Well, on your Visa card, let's say I order something online for $100 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that safe to that company?
With a credit card, it's safe. It's safer than using a debit card or a check or something like that.
Your best bet is to always use a credit card or a money card.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to store your credit card online, don't store it with the site. A lot of people store it with PayPal. PayPal is a little bit more secure in how it's.
Also, be safe where you shop online, because not all sites are legitimate shopping sites. Use a retailer that you know is legitimate, like Amazon. or Walmart.com. Yeah, Myers must say Walmart. But anyway, rolling on. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. And this is my last slide. But there's a lot of people that see stuff on Craigslist, such as this. I just got this last night. I just did a quick search and I found it in no time flat.
That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah, 2006 Yamaha Rhino, $1,500.
Did you buy it?
No.
way.
But guess what? If you contact this guy, he's going to have your phone number, email
Use your
address.
debit card?
Yeah, I bought it with my debit card. They're supposed to drop it off. I don't know when. That's usually how they do that.
They said it'd probably be a week, right?
Yeah, they got to drop ship
They
it.
dropped that over my place.
Okay, all right. But yeah, so when going on Craigslist, for sure, be really careful what you kind of bite on, because if it's too good to be true, it's going to be. And also, if you want to post something on Craigslist to sell, don't put your phone number. There's other ways to go about it. You can go on like Google Voice and get a free Google Voice number. You can post that number and then forward it to your real phone. That way when you're done, you can just pay the $5 to Google to have that number rolled to a new number. And that'll keep them from making those phone calls repeatedly over and over and over. And then you get those Microsoft scam calls or Google scam calls, or, you know, once they get your phone number and an identity with it, they're not going to leave you alone. So that's all I got. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, Brother Nick, you know, I buy a lot of parts for my backhoe and stuff like that, but I buy it through the internet.
Okay.
You know, and I use cards to pay for it.
Debit card, credit card?
We use a prepaid reloadable card.
Prepaid.
That's a good way to do it. Just don't use your debit card.
What if you already have?
It's never too late to call your bank and say, I would like to request a new debit card number.
Yeah.
I had a site that I trust, Unused, and they wanted me to order a magazine from them, and they wanted my name, address, and so forth. They wanted my email. They wanted my password on there.
That doesn't sound legit. If they want your email password, then there's reason to not trust that site anymore.
I didn't check into it, but I don't want them knowing my password.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes adware will attach themselves to sites, and then they'll pop up and advertise it. It makes you think it's legitimate too. So
Yeah.
if the site's not real strong, blocking that stuff.
So there's a whole lot that I didn't cover, but any more questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you were going to sell something on Craigslist and you said not to put your phone number, what would you put on there so they could contact you?
I would go to Google Voice, and if you have Gmail account, it's free, and you can get a Google Voice number. Once you go to voice.google.com and get your number, you can say add a phone to this number, and it's a forwarding phone. So you basically type in your number, it'll call the number that you really are at, and it'll ask you to put in a PIN code on your Google Voice account. And that ties your phone as a forwarding number to your Google Voice account. Then when they call that Google Voice number, your phone rings.
Well, Craigslist will also spoof your email, your contact info.
Yeah.
So like when you go list something and you want them to respond to you in email, like you can say, don't show my email, and it'll spoof it. So what it'll do is it'll direct it somehow. I don't know how it works, but it'll direct it through Craigslist. So you never actually see the
And it does that for email. But if you want a number where they can actually call you at, I recommend not putting your number on there. Use Google
I've
Voice.
let the scammers use that too, because if you
Oh, yeah.
try to call them back, you can't get out there.
Yeah, they do the same thing. So offense and defense is the same tools. Yep, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?